This is my 2025 Kawasaki ZX-6R. I picked this bike up new at the dealership about a week ago, and I absolutely love it. But today, we're going to be installing a few what I would consider to be essential mods and accessories to make this great bike just that much better. Let's get started. Bro, I'm trying to film a video, man. Oh, you're not allowed in here. You're not allowed in here. No. Alright, so first up on this list is going to be the Shogun swing arm spools. These are just going to let me do maintenance a little easier with the chain. I'm just going to be screwing those in there. Next, we're doing a little bit of something for the aesthetics of the bike. Got this Vagabond Motorsports tail tidy because, let's be honest, this thing is a little ugly. So we're going to be cleaning that up. I got this one because it reuses the stock turn signals as well as the stock plate light. So there's no like wiring work really needed. And of course, I can't be a 600 boy without being at least a little bit obnoxious. So we're gonna be putting a new slip-on exhaust on here and replacing that big thing. This one I think it's a pretty small little muffler, so it's probably gonna be pretty loud. But I don't think it's gonna be too obnoxious because we're gonna be keeping the stock resonator, so we'll see. All right, let's go ahead and start off with something easy and do these swing arm spools. These are, I would say, pretty straightforward to install. There's just bolts in the spools and they just go right into these holes in the swing arm. Almost fell over there. There's one on either side, so let's get these in. All right, looks like these are a 6mm hex, so let's get these on. Perfect. So the other two things I want to get done today are the tail tidy and the exhaust. We're going to do a little bit of work under here, and then I think I want to do the exhaust and then the tail tidy. So let's get under here and deal with this servo mess. So ultimately the issue we face is this servo motor. So if you don't know, on this generation, and I think the previous two generations as well, there's a servo that controls a butterfly valve in the exhaust for emissions and noise reasons or whatever. The thing is, the exhaust I'm putting on doesn't have a valve. So we kind of have three options, and I'm gonna basically be doing two of them, but first option is we completely yank this servo out and get a servo buddy, which I have done, but it's not here yet. Option two is we just yank this out and I have an engine code for the next however long until the servo buddy shows up. Option three, which is what I'll be doing, is I'm just gonna be removing the cables. I am gonna have to pull this out in order to get to the tail, to do the tail tidy. But we're gonna put this back in and just not install the cables. I guess there's actually a fourth option. I think the exhaust comes with a little thing that's supposed to replace this plate. But I've watched a few install videos and it's literally never worked. So we're not even gonna bother with that. So the plan is remove the cables. I have to pull the servo out to do the tail, but once that's done, we'll put it back and not reinstall the cables. And then later this week, I'm gonna just yank it out and install a servo buddy. All right, I wanna do a little exhaust check before we go ahead and swap it out. So let's piss off the neighbors a little bit real quick. I want to try to get these cables off the servo. I think there's a little retention clip here. Just gonna pop off this little retention clip. Now I think if we go down here, I think it's this here. Yeah, this is the adjuster, so we can loosen that up. Let's figure out what size that is. There we go. All right, these are both 8mm, this tube and this little locking nut. I don't know if I'm turning this the right way, we're gonna figure it out. I need just like slightly more slack. Oh, maybe not. I don't really care about damaging these. There we go. Ah, there it is. Now you gotta get the cable to this part and then it'll pop up out of the bottom. Let's do the other one. All right, there we go. Let's pull this heat shield off so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so I think I just need this bolt up here, and then this crank should come out, and we'll see what happens with the cable. I think it's kinky. Oh, whatever. All right. How do I get these cables out? Disconnecting the cables from the muffler so I can have an easier time fishing these out without trying to hold this thing. It's this clip here that I cannot. Get this one out. I think it'll make my job 10 times easier. I have wire cutters. Just make sure I got the right one. Yep. Sick of fishing. Give me this. Now that I've successfully fished out the cables, let's go ahead and get the exhaust on. All right, we got a little diagram here, so let's figure this out. Let's get in here. Now the fun part. That. Nice. There we go. Yeah, idiot. I'll line up these where the spring goes. Perfect. I think that's how it's going to fit. This is that OEM bolt that we pulled off. We're going to be putting that back on. That looks good. Put the spring on and then we'll tighten everything up. Perfect. Let's get everything tightened down. This one I really don't want to over tighten because of the carbon fiber. Let's get it nice and hand tight. It's a 6. All right. That's nice and snug. That's nice and snug. That's on. Servo's still plugged in. Cables are gone. I think we're ready to start it up. No engine codes. It's a little cold out. That's funny. It's a little bit cold out today. Too cold to ride. There's like condensation on there, on the tip, and it's steaming off. That's cool. Sounds great though. All right, so a little recap of where we're at. We got the exhaust installed. We got the swing arm spools installed. So last up is gonna be the tail tidy. I just took a short break to recharge my phone so I can keep recording, and let's get going. All right, so we need to yank this servo motor out, which I wish my servo buddy was here because then I wouldn't have to put it back. But we're gonna take this out so we can get to these cables and then also get to the bolts to take out the tail, or the fender. So let's get started. Should just be these 2 bolts, I think. Should be. Undo this clip here. All right, so these 2 blue ones we're gonna unclip. I might need a little screwdriver for this. All right, we've got our servo out. This, unfortunately, I'll have to be reinstalling for the time being until I get my servo buddy, but this will eventually be coming out for good. That frees up so much more space here. All right, let's go in here and just unclip these other 3. We should have 2 turn signals and the brake light. Okay, I think this white one's the plate light. These 2 are the turn signals. I don't know which one's which yet, but that whole thing is empty. So I think these are 5mm, but there's 4 bolts. We're gonna take those out, take this whole tail off. Yep, they are 5s. I just need to get like magnetic tipped, whatever. All right, okay, there's 2 Phillips head screws also. I'm gonna support this while I undo these because, and hopefully not lose these ones also. All right, cool. Just take these cables out. Perhaps one at a time here. There we go. They're a little thick, but that's all right. There we go, we got our tail out. We're gonna be disassembling this whole thing so we can steal the tail light, turn signals and the plate light. Let me fish those bolts out. Ah. All right. All right, so welcome to my wonderful workbench provided by Chewy. So there's a bolt here. I think it's an 8mm or not, sorry. And I think there's 2 on this side, Phillips head screws I have to remove, and that should let me split this thing in half. And then I can yank the turn signals and the light out. So let's do that. All right, we'll start with this one. So it looks like to pull this out, there's 2 Phillips head screws. That one might be a bit hard to get to. And then I need to save these rubber grommets. I need to yank those out. So And perfect. I need to get these rubber grommets out too. This one just slides over. I'm gonna pop that one out pretty easy. I feel like this one you just have to squeeze through. All right, for the turn signal, there's a little screw here. And we have to pop this little plate out and we should be able to just yank it out. So let's do that. All right. So we're just gonna try to pop this little clip out. There we go. All right. Perfect. Now we should be able to just pull this out. There we go. Pull towards like this direction, towards the back of the turn signal. All right, same process on the other one. Perfect. Now it's time to start putting stuff onto our new bracket. I will say, directions are very good. Nice and detailed, colored pictures. They also have a great video on their YouTube channel. All right, fortunately, I'm glad I checked, because these, unlike the previous generation, like in their video, these are LEDs and these are identical on both sides. There's not like a shape that they have. I think the blue is left, because this is the second one I took off and it was the left side. Blue is left. Need to remember that. So we're gonna start with the plate light. I think the first thing we need to do is install these rubber grommets. And these go into these two holes, and there's a flat side there for the middle. I think the easiest way with these is just get like one side seated in and just work your way around. Now we're just gonna run this cable through here, and we'll also just run it through the top as well, through this hole where it's gonna go into the bike. And slide that in place. And we'll just screw it in. Don't forget the washer. Perfect. And we got our tail light on. Plate light, not tail light. I keep saying that. Okay, I said blue was left. We're gonna install that one first to make my life easier. This way I don't forget. Just run this through and we'll see if I can get this in the same way I took it out. Oh, that better be right. All right, let's do the other one. So, in order to get these on, after getting the first one on, I'm gonna, this makes this a lot easier. There's a plastic piece in here that you can just slip out. I'm gonna leave it on the cable just so I don't lose it, but. And then we're gonna run this through here. We should be able to just kind of squeeze this in. All right, squeeze through. Make sure it's all sitting properly. I'm just gonna take this plastic bit and shove it back inside. Perfect. Got our little retention clip back in. Just using a screwdriver to pull this rubber back makes it easier. There's 4 little kind of tabs in the rubber that hold it in place. Lastly, get our little, I think this is the retention clip, that's what I meant to say. And we'll get this screwed in. I'm not gonna get a normal screwdriver in there, I'm gonna have to use that right angle one, I think. All right, there we go. Let's run this wire through here and then get one more piece installed and then get this on the bike. All right, last thing we have to do is get this rubber grommet piece down over the wires and seated around this. So in order to get this on, there's a spacer for each one of these. I'm gonna run these cables through here and then use these self-locking nuts, they're 10 millimeters, to tighten it down. So we've got white to white, so this way, blue to blue, okay, and black to black. Okay, and let's get the servo motor so I can turn this on without hitting code. All that's hooked up, let's test it before we bolt everything down. Plate light works. Left is left. Right is right. And the brake light works. Good. All set. Let's bolt it. All right, and that's a wrap. We got new exhaust in, give us a better tone. We've got some swing arm spools to make my life a little easier with maintenance. And of course, we've got this nice tail tidy over here to really clean up the rear end. All right, so that's pretty much it. I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions about any of the parts I use or whatever, feel free to drop a comment. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you all next time.